Welcome to this meeting of the Council of the Town of Oakville. I invite everybody to rise and join council in O Canada. Thank you, everyone. Please be seated. In 1820, Indigenous people here began welcoming settlers from all over the British Empire. Soon, Oakville people were helping Black people escaping from the United States to settle here too. Today, our Indigenous founding partners are still here, enjoying the land with us. Indigenous people live with us as neighbors and friends. Our Indigenous, white, and Black settlers created a community with an attractive degree of harmony and prosperity. In 1857, Ontario recognized Oakville as a town. And at Town Hall all of these years later, we fly the flags of the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation with the flags of the Oakville, Ontario, and Canada. We fly our flags together to acknowledge our origins. The livability we're creating attracts people from all over Canada and the world. We offer newcomers a warm spirit of welcome. We offer everyone our founding story so everyone knows what we're part of. We feel sorrow and distress for acts of racism and intolerance suffered across the world, including Canada and here at home. We want our future to be equitable and inclusive for all. The path of truth and reconciliation can help us achieve our goals. Please keep well, stay safe, and let us on council know of any chance to be helpful to you and yours. And please let us know anytime you can help increase Oakville's harmony, prosperity, and livability. Council, if we could take a moment and welcome our new town clerk, William Short. Will comes to us with extensive experience as a clerk. He was, for the last 4 years, the regional clerk for Waterloo Region, and prior to that at the province with 20 years experience as a clerk in the Legislative Assembly. Will, council and I are looking forward to your work as our town clerk. Welcome. Mr. Clerk, do we have any regrets? I understand we're all here with our sunshiny faces. Yeah, Council, sure. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Mr. Clerk, I see no declarations. Council, you have the confirmation of minutes of the previous council meetings at 5.1 and 5.2. And this is for the regular and closed sessions of council from May 26th. Would someone move and someone second? Councillor Chisholm and Councillor Longo, thank you. Any objection? There being none, that carries. We have minutes from the Committee of the Whole workshop from June 2nd to be approved. We need a mover and seconder for that. Councillor McNeese and Councillor Shia, thank you. Any objection? The minutes are approved. And you also have the minutes from the Community Spirit Awards of May 27th to be received. A mover and a seconder. Councillor Lischina and Councillor Hazlitt-Deal, thank you. Any objection? There being none, that's carried. Council, you have, I think, 5 consent items. Let me just double check before I make a boo-boo. 4 consent items. Would anyone like to give me a motion? I'd like a mover and seconder or separations. Councillor Giddings for the motion, a seconder, Councillor Knoll. Any objection? There being none, the consent items are adopted. And that brings us to the main event, 11.1, This is a discussion item, and this is the sale and discharge of consumer fireworks and a community engagement summary. Now, Council, you are aware, and I'm going to make the public aware, that there are those among us who would like to refer this matter to staff for more work. And if that referral fails, then the motion proposed by staff that a bylaw to prohibit and regulate the sale and discharge of fireworks be passed. So with that, Council, we have quite a number of delegations, and it was my intention to call the delegations before we debate the matter. And if no one has any objection to that, that's what we'll do. Councillor Nanda, is that all right with you? Yes. Okay. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the delegations?
Yep. Thank you, Mayor. Greg Kasparian.
Is Greg Kasparian here with us?
No, he's not. Okay.
All right, let's go down the list.
Michael Dolan.
Welcome, sir. Council looks forward to your information.
Yep, thank you. It's my first time doing this, so please bear with me if anything is off.
All right,
Yes.
for your comfort
Yep.
and ours,
Yep.
if you speak into the microphone, we'll hear you better.
Okay.
And there's a button hidden there that will raise the table if you need it. I notice you're a bit taller than me.
Yeah, perfect. All right, thanks for the opportunity to speak. So my name is Mike Dolan. I've lived in Oakville my whole life. We live in the River Oaks area right now. I work in technology. I just want to be clear, I have no affiliation whatsoever, commercially, personally, to anything to do with fireworks or fireworks retail or anything like that. Just a resident of Oakville. And I just wanted, honestly, an opportunity to put up some pictures and just give a bit of a story as to what we've done with, consumer fireworks in our neighborhood, obviously in the Oakville area. This is something we've run for, upwards of 10 years. And, one of the things that attracted us to our particular neighborhood is the community sort of aspect that existed there. And this is something that was, ongoing before we moved in. It's been running for 10 years. I've sort of been running it with a number of volunteers, for the last 6 or 7 years, in the neighborhood. And, essentially what we do is we do, a fundraising activity where, a number of families this past year, we had about 60 families, throw some cash in. You have a number of volunteers like myself who actually, set the thing up. Observe the proper regulations, et cetera, with regards to safety for, setting off these, fireworks. We have fire suppression, proper distancing in the area, proper crowd setback, all of that sort of stuff. And so, the amount of, to be honest, overwhelming positive feedback that we've gotten from, from running this thing, that I just wanted, I saw this pop up, that there was a consideration of a ban of the sale and the discharge of these, these consumer fireworks in in Oakville. So I just wanted to at least, come and present something positive that actually is, is going on, as part of this. And, essentially, in quick summary, the way this goes down is I'll have my, young children, along with a bunch of their friends who are, call 7, 10-year-olds. We'll go canvass the whole neighborhood, pass flyers out. We set up a GoFundMe or equivalent crowdsourcing mechanism. We, raise a bunch of donations by a certain date, and then we go out and purchase, the fireworks accordingly based on the aggregate contributions that have come in. We then set them up accordingly on, those plywood sheets. Simple but done, correctly and secured. We organize a specific date and time, that the fireworks will be set off, via a few different means within the neighborhood, WhatsApp group, and then, I think Facebook gets posted as well. And then a rain date that we organize as well. And, like I said, we had, 60 families contribute this past year, a couple hundred people, if not more, end up coming out, this to observe it. And I think this is it's a really, particularly in, today's world where I consistently hear stories of, loneliness, people not connecting with their neighbors, whatever else. Like it would appear, and it's evidence that this is like legitimately a really positive way for people to, you know, convene that and actually meet their neighbors and get out, you know, get out and meet and socialize. And so this is, you know, something that we've run, like I said, you know, well, it's been going on for 10+ years. To my knowledge, I haven't heard of any complaints come in. Maybe that's not the case, but you know, just certainly something that we've you know, had a lot of success with. So we'll set the show off. We'll do a cleanup, as you know, as sort of pictured, everything sort of on the, you know, on the plywood boards there. It's all brought back. You know, put in my, you know, personal utility trailer, and then we go out the following morning with leaf blowers, clean everything up, and I, you know, go to the Halton dump, you know, and we dispose, you know, of all of it. So, you know, I think, you know, I wanted to just present a positive story. You know, obviously there's a lot of negatives that, you know, can be shared around, you know, accidents with fireworks, but, you know, if you have somebody who sort of think is doing it, or a group of people are doing it for, I think, the right reasons, which is, you know, like bringing a neighborhood or community together, you know, I'd at least advocate that, you know, as decisions are made with the legislation or bylaws, or, you know, whatever it is that's going to, you know, sort of happen with this, at least there's consideration that something like this could continue, you know, to be done in a way that, you know, even if it comes to permitting, it's in a way that's not prohibitive for, you know, a few people who do this as a, you know, something fun to do in the neighborhood, you know, to do. So, you know, just ask that sort of is, you know, that sort of is considered. I don't think I need to mention, you know, the obvious benefits, you know, for this. Like, it's, you know, a defining memory for, you know, all the kids in the neighborhood. You know, I hope that this gets passed on, you know, the spirit of contributing back to your neighborhood, as all of you do for councillors. Like, you obviously are, you know, civically engaged, which, you know, it's kind of funny how, I'm surprised how few people actually are in this room. So it'd be nice to see a little bit more, you know, of that, to be totally honest. So, yeah, I just wanted to share, you know, something that we've been running, I think, is, you know, has a positive, you know, impact on the neighborhood, and we sort of hear that, you know, consistently. So, you know, relatively straightforward, not rocket science, yeah, you know, not rocket science, well, I guess, but that wasn't intentional, by the way. But just wanted to share, you know, a positive story that we've done with, you know, consumer fireworks, call it. So, yeah.
Mr. Dolan, thank you very much for the story. You've brought back some memories for me from my neighborhood. Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Clerk. Oh, Councillor Duddick. Mr.
Yes,
Dolan, you may have
you.
a question from Councillor Duddick.
So, thank you. Not so much a question. I really appreciate the fact you took the time to come out and delegate, because you basically captured what I think it should be, i.e. a community event. And it certainly sounds like you've done your homework in terms of safety and fire suppression and the various other aspects that maybe some other people don't think of and are not mindful of. So while I'm not supportive of maintaining the discharge of fireworks on an individual property, I would most definitely support going forward in terms of a community event and providing the input of our fire department and permitting staff, as you point out, not cost prohibitive, but more as an education and oversight that the appropriate things are taken care of. Like, for instance, you mentioned cleaning up afterwards. Bravo, because a lot of people don't do that. So really appreciate the fact you came out. I think it speaks volumes, and I remember the burning schoolhouse and the snakes from my childhood. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Knoll is next.
Thank you, Worship. I don't actually have a question. I just want to reinforce something that was said during the presentation, though, and as the Ward 5, one of the two Ward 5 councillors, I can attest the fact I've never had a complaint, and I get a lot of them, around fireworks in residential area or in ravines and such. I've never had a specific complaint about this particular fireworks show. Although I'm seeing a hand up in the audience, so maybe I'm wrong. But I don't recall having one.
We're not going to cross debate among delegations. The job of delegation is to bring information to council, and that's the extent of it. It's not a debate. Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Knoll, and Councillor Haslett-Deal, and then Councillor Nanda.
I echo my fellow colleagues' comments. Thank you so much for bringing back happy memories. It can be done well. It can be done right. And you seem to have, your neighborhood seems to understand that. Can I just ask you, what specific holidays do you do fireworks on? So have you chosen specific ones that you do as a neighborhood, just so we understand your routine?
Yeah, the way we've approached this is to conform with the existing bylaws as to which holidays it's allowed on. So it's been the historical thing is just for us has been Victoria Day. It's when people are around, not at the cottage or traveling, etc. And obviously, you know, it's a lot of work to do this. So we just choose one holiday per year. And so it's been Victoria Day in May has been the, yeah.
All right, thanks very much.
Thank you. Councillor Nanda.
Thank you through you, Mayor Burton. Thank you for bringing this forward again. And my question got answered as well. I was looking at what holiday you were bringing this. But I really appreciate the aspect of showing a way that we can educate the community in how this can be done safely, but also brings the community together. So thank you for bringing that to us today.
And Councillor O'Meara.
Thank you. So I'm just curious, where does this take place?
Yeah, so it's the spectators are sitting in a park, and then we use an asphalt section adjacent to my home for placing the actual fireworks.
So it's on municipal property or on your private property? Where does the?
I don't know the exact delineation. The crowd is certainly on municipal property though. A significant distance back. I tried to bring a video, but it wasn't. But I think it would do 250 meters back or so.
Okay, I just, again, trying to figure out where the consistency, because I believe right now we're not allowed to shoot fireworks off from any municipal property right now. So that would be in violation of the bylaw as it stands today. So I'm just trying to find out where everybody's saying what a great event it is, but it would technically be illegal right now, what's happening.
Yeah, I think it's still my property. We do essentially, I'm adjacent to a park.
Right.
And that's essentially where we do it from.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not purporting I know this specific answer. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Dolan. I'm confident you will not be arrested on the way out.
Okay, thank you. All right, thanks everybody.
Mr. Clerk, the next delegation, please.
Yes, I believe Greg Kasparian is now available online.
All right, let's bring him into the meeting so that we can hear him.
Hi there.
Oh, hello.
you guys hear me?
Welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Thank you very much, and sorry for the delay. I was in a different waiting room that wasn't a waiting room. My mistake. Good evening, Mayor Burton and members of council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name's Greg. I'm the general manager of Kaboom Fireworks. We operate 80 seasonal retail locations across Ontario, including in Toronto, Mississauga, Burlington, and we supply firework programs to major retailers such as Canadian Tire and Walmart. Through 3 Canadian Tire stores in Oakville, we've served many families with safe, compliant consumer fireworks for years. We operate in full alignment with the explosive regulations and local bylaws, and we undergo regular inspections. We provide approved safety handouts with all our products and ensure only adults can purchase regulated items. Very clearly, we support increased enforcement, bylaw changes that will address the concerns. We feel that reckless behavior and misuse by youth or discharge outside of permitted times is an issue and it shouldn't be tolerated. But a proposed ban on both sale and use of consumer fireworks really does go too far, especially given that the telephone survey, which feels more statistically valid, shows that only 18% of residents support a total ban. Meanwhile, 64% of people prefer either keeping the current rules or strengthening them. I feel that most residents are looking for a better system, not an end to the tradition of fireworks, as the prior speaker so eloquently put it. Banning sales is putting the nail in the coffin for a few long-standing retailers in Oakville. Mobile retail is very difficult in Oakville, if not completely unpermitted, so Kaboom and most other vendors don't sell using our container model anyway. If the further step to ban regulated vendors takes place, it doesn't mean that fireworks will disappear. It will shift access elsewhere, either online and possibly through fly-by-night vendors who will take advantage of the sales vacuum. In contrast, licensed vendors follow the rules, provide proper safety information, and are subject to federal oversight. And eliminating that framework removes a layer of control, not risk. I really believe that a better path forward lies in education, communication, and we're happy to commit to doing that with the town of Oakville For example, cities like Mississauga and Barrie adopted municipal specific handouts and posters that every vendor must distribute and show to customers. They describe the local discharge windows, where use is permitted, key safety and storage guidelines. This kind of visible reinforced messaging works, and it keeps the conversation focused on responsibility and compliance. I really ask that you reconsider a ban on firework use in Oakville, consider a more collaborative approach that protects public safety through enforcement, encourages responsible use, and maintains access through licensed and compliant vendors, which I do feel is in line with the survey results that you posted in your report. Banning a longstanding Canadian tradition isn't what the people of Oakville want, in my humble opinion. And I ask that you reject the ban tonight and take more time to come up with a policy that represents the wishes of your voters. I really appreciate your time and thoughtful consideration, and would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Kasparian, for your information. We appreciate it. Seeing no questions, Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation?
Yes, Lucas Cabada.
Also online.
Also online.
Mr. Cavada, welcome. Council looks forward to your information. I think I hear you, but I'm not sure.
There, he's there. Yep.
Hi.
Oh, good. You are there.
Okay. Good evening, Mayor and Council of Oakville. As a passionate fireworks enthusiast, I stand before you today to voice my strong opposition to the proposed changes to Oakville's fireworks regulations, which would ban both the sale, use of consumer fireworks, and repeal the existing bylaw, and revise vendor licensing rules. For generations, fireworks have been more than just bursts of light in the sky. They have been a cornerstone of celebration, bringing families and neighbors together on holidays like Victoria Day and Canada Day. In my own family, the tradition of the tradition of gathering in our backyard to watch fireworks has created memories that span decades, which I fully support. Safety and responsible use. An outright prohibition is not the solution. It unfairly penalizes the vast majority of residents who enjoy fireworks responsibly, all while failing to address the root causes of misuse. The economic consequences of this ban would ripple far beyond fireworks and retailers. Seasonal fireworks sales are a vital part of our local economy, supporting jobs for students and youth adults during peak holiday weekends, small businesses that rely on this revenue stream, municipal coffers through licensing fees and taxes that fund community services. Eliminating this industry doesn't just hurt businesses, it erases a cherished tradition that fosters community spirit. When municipalities like Brampton and Caledon implemented similar ban, they saw no reduction in fireworks-related issues. Instead, residents purchased fireworks elsewhere, often from unregulated sources. While local businesses suffered, a ban here would have the same effect, pushing sales across municipal borders or online, where safety oversight sometimes is non-existent. The evidence is clear. Bans don't solve the problem. According to the 2023 Regional Working Group report, municipalities that enacted fireworks prohibitions experienced no significant drop in complaints, only a shift in where fireworks were being set off. Increased challenges in enforcement as residents sourced fireworks from neighboring towns. Public backlash leading to some cities to consider their bans altogether. Furthermore, survey data indicates that over 70% of fireworks-related complaints stem from misuse, such as setting them off at prohibited times, not from the legal sale of fireworks. The real issue isn't access, it's education and enforcement. As someone who has always prioritized safe fireworks use, I recognize that vendors already provide safety pamphlets at the point of sale. However, more can be done at the community level. For example, Oakville could establish designated community launch zones with trained volunteers or major holidays to ensure safer, controlled celebrations, combined with clear public education campaigns and stronger enforcement of existing bylaws. These practical solutions address the real concerns without stripping away a beloved tradition. In closing, I urge Council to reject this proposed bylaw and instead pursue balanced and effective solutions that preserve both community safety and our shared traditions. Let's work together, residents, businesses, and city officials, to promote responsible fireworks use without resorting to prohibition. The answer isn't to extinguish the joy fireworks brings, it's to manage it wisely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your information, Mr. Canada. Councillor Adams has a question.
Okay.
Just want to, I understand you're from Stratford?
I am, yes.
Okay, and what's been your experience in Stratford?
In Stratford, we don't have many problems with fireworks themselves. There are few complaints. We have a Facebook group because Stratford generally is a pretty tight-knit community, and we have a lot of farms around. Like Stratford will sometimes, they will set up, like the city will set up its own like fireworks and stuff, and they'll bring in I remember they've done that like a couple of years ago, and then but usually like I know there are vendors here like Fat Boy and Kaboom that like we will go and buy fireworks from, and they hand out safety pamphlets, and the employees are just terrific in the way that they during the point of sale, as I expressed in my speech earlier. But there are like complaints here and there, but yeah, that's kind of my stance.
Thank you for bringing your experience from Stratford.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Now, Mr. Clerk, the next delegation.
Aleem Kanji.
Welcome. Council looks forward to your information. I guess in your case, I should say welcome back. We've seen you before.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of council and staff. Great to be with you again here in Oakville. And thanks for the opportunity to spend some time with you today on behalf of the Canadian National Fireworks Association and our members, fireworks enthusiasts, and members of the community as well. I'm here to offer a perspective this evening that's grounded in data, that is based on public policy best practices, and also on community engagement. Respectfully, I'd like to suggest that a proposed ban on consumer fireworks sales and use is not only ineffective, but we also believe it's actually inconsistent with Oakville's own stated values. The CNFA is committed to safe and responsible fireworks use. We do offer our complementary resources like our vendor certification and in our employee training program, as well as our Be a Good Neighbor program. I've spoken to council about that before. This is all available to council at no cost to embed right into your bylaw. We provide expert insights and research-backed papers on critical topics, such as prohibitions, environmental impacts, and even cultural significance. We believe that Oakville can strengthen safety and enhance enjoyment by modernizing its bylaw with thoughtful updates, targeted education, as well as clear enforcement. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about how. Before I do that, I know we're here to talk about the report that's before you. And there are some key facets of the report that I wanted to highlight. The report, Sale and Discharge of Consumer Fireworks. Firstly, the report claims that only 151 properties out of, I think the number was 45,000 in Oakville, meet required distance criteria. This figure is categorically incorrect. The federal government through the Explosives and Regulatory Division in the Government of Canada, regulates over 4,000 fireworks products in what are some of the tightest testing regulations on the planet. Each product, and I've brought empty boxes, there's no fireworks in here. Each of the products, and I'll show you this, have the information and the local instructions on how to use. And you can see that there. This shows the height, this shows the radius. This product, although appearing very similar to this package, is different. And those instructions are provided right at the point of sale. We also have QR codes on how to use specific products. Again, that's provided through licensed regulated stores. Take that away, and as we heard, people will find another way to get the product, and they won't be provided with the instructions and the local rules at the point of sale here in Oakville. Our local retailers guide appropriate use, based on property size. I did advise staff in discussions that the proposed formula for calculating distance was not only inaccurate, this 151 number, but it's also contravening federal rules that, again, regulate the 4,000 products. It would be interesting to know how staff were able to calculate this highly specific and very seemingly arbitrary figure in the report before you. Secondly, the community engagement summary in the report, it noted that, and I quote, limited direct engagement, unquote, was held at in-person public sessions with only 4 members of the public and 2 industry representatives that attended. Now, while the report cites strong resident concern, the very low turnout, I'm sure you all can agree, about the true breadth of community support for a complete ban, I think is questionable. Third, the report highlights enforcement challenges. Municipalities with bans like Brampton saw complaints still very relatively high, despite significant enforcement, including in Brampton tripling the staff presence, using paid duty police officers, and beefing up enforcement. In contrast, the report before you says that Oakville proposes just 4 part-time officers and a $5,000 public education campaign. The question, I guess, is how does staff intend on achieving compliance with such limited resources? And why not partner with local industry, with the regulated retailers that buy local, sell local, are in your community, and will provide education at the point of sale, as you've heard earlier this evening. Fourth, the recommendation prohibits residents from using fireworks, other than sparklers, Christmas caps, crackers, or caps for toy guns to celebrate holidays, religious or cultural events. Now, if we read the report, considering 1 in 5 respondents attended celebrations involving fireworks, this policy very much risks undercutting Oakville's commitments to equity and to anti-racism by unintentionally silencing individual cultural expression. And we're not talking about community events here or city-led events. This is individual community expression that will be removed if the municipality moves forward with a ban on the use of fireworks. Finally, the Forum research report before you indicates that 41% of telephone respondents support either no change or increased rules without a complete ban. This contrasts with online respondents who are acknowledged as having stronger opinions. So the question, I guess, before you is, how confident are our staff and our council that a complete ban actually reflects the broader community sentiment? That's the question. Now, I'm not going to name names, but I will share this with you, and I think it's a really important point. A member of council has recently said to me that they must be seen to be doing something, and I understand that imperative. It's really important. But I ask, how will residents respond when they see the ban is ineffective, it's unenforceable, and it drives an underground market? And that is the experience in other communities that have taken this step. That's the question to be asked. Let me be very clear. The CNFA and our certified vendors do not want a free-for-all in Oakville. That would be irresponsible. We propose a 3-pronged framework. And I know the mayor earlier tonight talked about what may happen in terms of referring this back to staff. We would support that. The 3-pronged framework is built on 3 key facets: oversight, education, and enforcement support, partnering with industry. This can all be embedded at no cost to your taxpayers and to this city and right into your bylaw. Let me talk about oversight. It is our vendor certification and employee training program that will ensure that only responsible vendors and licensed vendors display our seal. Our Be a Good Neighbor program will provide multilingual safety materials at the point of sale. It will extend the great work that staff are doing and communications are doing, but we will expand that even more in this city. And enforcement tipped off that there could have been some delinquent behavior in the really alerted the city about that by law enforcement, and they alerted the authorities in Durham Police and worked with bylaw. They wouldn't have found out about that were it not for our members monitoring the situation and the chatter and ensuring that delinquent use doesn't happen. But let's be clear here. A ban will not stop residents from buying fireworks, whether that's folks celebrating with larger communities, individuals on a street, ethnic communities. It won't stop that from happening. They will buy them elsewhere. They may buy them online where they're not provided with the rules and the bylaw regulations that exist here in Oakville. They will also buy in neighboring cities, and they may not get that information specific to Oakville by buying in Oakville. Worse, they could buy in the underground market, and that will fuel criminal activity in this city, make no mistake. That's not a threat. That's what we see happening in other cities. I'm pretty sure that most residents of this city do not want to see an increase in crime by the opening of an underground market by virtue of a decision tonight to throw the industry out of town and to send your residents elsewhere to go buy fireworks. Let's work together. Let's build a Made in Oakville solution that prioritizes education, regulation, and public safety together. I look forward to your partnership. I look forward to your questions and working together. Thank you for your indulgence and your time.
Thank you for your information. Your hope for questions is being answered. Councillor O'Meara.
Thank you, Your Worship, and thanks, Aleem, for the conversations. And happy to out myself. I'm absolutely, the councillor says we've got to be doing something here because Jonathan and I are under attack twice a year for the past 5 years, and literally under attack. And it is not a question of the law-abiding resident who a few times a year shoot fireworks off. It is by teens and by kids who are illegally getting a hold of fireworks, and no brochure that says, please don't shoot this at another kid's head is going to make them go, oh, sorry, I didn't know that wasn't how they were supposed to be used. So I guess my question to you is, how do these kids, hundreds and hundreds of kids, continue to get their hands on fireworks when they are underage? It is illegal. And what are you as an organization doing to bear the brunt of that responsibility for those vendors who continue to sell to underage kids?
Through you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for the question. It's an important one. You referenced at the outset that, you guys, or you, I should say, and your council colleague are under attack. That there are no excuses for that. People should not be under attack, whether it's through complaints or things happening in the community. There are no excuses for that. We don't condone delinquent use. I could ask or make the point, I suppose, of saying, how will the community feel being under attack with a sales and use ban in place where it's still happening? The question is, what's the problem we're trying to solve here? You could be under attack by virtue of complaints and people complaining. I would suggest to this council that this entire council and community will be under attack because there will be frustrated people that will say this ban doesn't work. That's the decision we're making tonight. To your question around teens and illegal activity of how they get fireworks, and full disclosure, I've got a 15-year-old and a 13-year-old at home. And it's my responsibility to make sure that they're conducting themselves in the right way. And we could sit here and argue and say, where are the parents in this? But I think it's a fair question, right? When we look at what's going on in that household, I don't know how they get them. I can tell you this, though. Any vendor worth their salt that sells to an underage person is risking the same way that people that sell alcohol, whether it's in a corner store now that our provincial government is allowed or elsewhere, they're not going to take that risk. They will not take that risk because they want to remain in business. It's not happening, but they're finding it elsewhere, right? They're getting it. They're able to access it. And I think the question is, how can we work together to make sure that people are educated, that parents know what's going on? I've seen what's happened in Oakville. I don't condone that behavior. I think it's unconscionable, and it shouldn't keep communities up at night in any quadrant of the city. That's uncalled for. But there are kids that purchase alcohol underage and do things. We don't say, let's go ban Ford Motors out of Oakville, I don't think, because someone's gone into a car accident. Nor do we say, let's get Bacardi or Sleeman's out of town because someone has had too many drinks and is conducting themselves. We don't go after industry. I think what we say is we've got regulations that support thousands of industries in this city, and let's regulate and let's partner together instead of looking for ways to push industry out of town, because the reality is they'll buy it elsewhere, right? And they won't get the information pertinent to here and will open up an unregulated market. That's the choice before us this evening. You raise good points. I concur with you. I don't want this community to ever be under attack. But I don't want you to be under attack by pursuing a bylaw, quite frankly, that will have no teeth. It will be very difficult to enforce, if not impossible. And I don't want your residents saying, what have you done for me by not enforcing it? Because it is reactive. We can be proactive about this by working together.
Mr. Kanji, as chair, I owe you a duty to keep your answer from being longer than your original presentation.
Okay. Councillor Romero is laughing, so I take that point for sure.
Councillor Xie has something for you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the delegation. I have a question. You mentioned about so do you have any examples for those cities and municipalities they are banned for this fireworks commercially and residentially? So they've faced more challenging things that people buy those things from the underground market. Is there any unsafe and dangerous issues happened? Do you have any examples or data for that?
Through you, Mr. Chair. The data will show in places like Brampton and Caledon, and I want to focus on those examples because they are pretty close to home. Complaints have gone up. Bylaw enforcement is not able to keep up the same way they're not here because it's very reactive. When there's a delinquent use, by the time bylaw gets the call and they show up at the scene, the offender is gone. But I will tell you that there are more challenges in those cities. And those cities will tell you, and they will say to you, well, it's going to take 2-3 years for people to adjust. That's what they're going to tell you, and that's what they're going to tell bylaw staff in trying to get this to work. That's not the reality because they're still buying them elsewhere. They're still using them. And they've opened up the red carpet to an illegal and underground market. And those are the challenges that exist and the criminal activity that goes with it. So I think those two as an example are ones where we see continued challenges. And let's face it, we all live in the GTA, most of us in this room. And Toronto will not be banning fireworks anytime soon. They're going to go there the same way they get on the GO train or drive to Toronto and all of that intercity migration place of work. You can look at the data. They'll buy it elsewhere. And so the largest city's not doing this. Mississauga 2 weeks ago said no to a ban. People will get it elsewhere. And again, those cities face increased challenges and I submit have created a more unsafe community for their residents and for people that continue to use fireworks. Some are even making them at home. That's a risk to this community if that happens.
Okay, thank you. So in your opinion, even municipal increased enforcement resources still cannot make these things more safety and get this solution?
Through you, Mr. Chair, we definitely support more increased enforcement. What I'd like to do, and I know the budgets, we all know what tax levels are at, and we all get all that. I want to take the relief off this municipality by virtue of putting that enforcement right at the point of sale. Eliminate the industry and throw this industry out of town. We're not privy to doing that anymore. Like, we can't give people the information, the time restrictions, the days of use. That just can't happen. And as it is, I mean, let's face it, the bylaw right now only allows for a handful of days, right? There's only 4 to 5 days that you're allowed to use fireworks without a permit. And if that's the imperative right now, what would a blanket ban do? I mean, if we're to sit here and think that people are going to follow those rules, I'm not quite so sure that's going to happen. I think people will find it elsewhere, but we support more enforcement. We will do that at the point of sale. We will do that at no cost to this municipality, and we'll continue to do that. That cannot happen if there's no industry that exists where the city of Oakville residents are not able, as they're told by council, to buy local. They can't do it, and we can't provide that enforcement at the point of sale. It won't happen. They can shop online as well, but the challenge with online is that we're not giving them the right information. That guest experience in a local store doesn't happen, right? We throw the stores out of town. We tell people to stop using them. They're going to still use them. That's our experience in other cities. I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Kanji, for your information and the time you took to give it to us. Mr. Clerk, would you call the next delegation, please?
Priam Vias,
That in person?
virtual.
So we'll greet our delegate when we see them, I guess.
Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, Council members, and fellow resident. My name is Priyam Vyas. I am a resident of Kitchener as well as vendor of fireworks in major municipality in Waterloo region. Today, I stand before you not just as a fireworks enthusiastic or a vendor, but as an immigrant who found a deeper sense of belonging in Canada through cultural celebrations like Diwali. My story with fireworks started from Oakville when I first moved to Canada as a student. I missed the home terribly, but the first time I celebrated Diwali in Oakville, visiting my aunt for Diwali worship and celebration, lighting fireworks, it felt like home again. That moment of light in the sky was more than just a spark, it was connection, tradition, and community. That's why I'm deeply concerned about the proposed fireworks ban. If passed, this ban will punish responsible vendors and law abiding citizens, people like me, while driving the problem underground. All for what? To say we acted? A ban may look like action, but in reality, it creates more harm than a good. Hey, sorry, I lost you there. Because if you ban the legal sale of fireworks and legal use of fireworks, that's exactly what will happen. Let's be honest, bans do not work. As a part of my research, I have submitted so many news articles related to fireworks. Brampton, Woodstock, Surrey, Vancouver, Caledon. Places already have bans in place. Fireworks complaints have continued to rise year after year. In Surrey, 345,000 worth of illegal fireworks were seized in 2023. 2024, we do not know. Brampton and Caledon are still seeing surging complaints, despite imposing penalties of up to 100,000. Bylaw enforcement in these cities is still struggling. Even here in Kitchener, where new bylaw were introduced, a licensed vendor was robbed and assaulted. In Waterloo region, cities like North Dumfries and Wilmot have chosen not to follow the ban, and Cambridge has deferred the decision. Mayor John Lingett said, "We need to do some more homework." That tells you something. Bans do not work. A firework ban will only create more problems. It will require significant enforcement resources, costing taxpayers more money. It will overburden bylaw staff who already stretched thin. It will undermine the trust in our local government when residents see the ban failing, just like in other cities. I urge you not to make a law that burdens responsible people and fails to stop bad actors. The data clearly shows that complaints do not go down after a ban. when it comes to safety and pollution, it is important to note that all the legal fireworks are federally approved. These approvals are based on science and strict testing. If we question this product, are we also questioning the credibility of our national regulators?
Yes.
The amount of pollution by motor vehicle, considering that we should ban cars. I understand the concern about the temporary effect on fireworks on wildlife. I'm a huge animal lover myself. I have a golden retriever. But let's put this in a perspective. Society accepts far greater harm to animals every day for food production. Those are permanent losses. Fireworks, by contrast, are temporary and rare, used only a few times a year. And in a time when the world is filled with conflicts, war, invasions, rising tensions, festivals and national holidays give people a way to celebrate peace, hope, and culture. Fireworks bring lights during dark times. They are a moment of joy when the world feels heavy. So instead of ban them, let's be smart, enforce strict penalties for misuse, restrict sales to licensed and responsible vendors only, prohibit nuisance or excessively loud fireworks, set up designated celebration areas, launch public education campaigns with city staff and fire department. If you truly want safer celebration, keep fireworks in the hands of accountable people, not in the shadows. Let's not make a mistake that hurts small businesses, puts public safety at a risk, and turns joyful tradition into underground problems, just like other cities. Let's choose safer celebration with enforceable guidelines, smarter regulation that work in practice, stronger trust to bring all the other diverse community together. Thank you for your time, your consideration, your service to the city. Thank you. I'll be happy to answer any question.
Well, I want to thank you for bringing your advice from Kitchener to us. Councillor Adams.
Thank you. So I understand you have at least one store, maybe more than one store in the Cambridge, Guelph, Kitchener area?
Yes, through the mayor to the councillor, I do have 4 locations. I operate in Kitchener, Cambridge, Guelph.
Okay, so several locations in that area. Thank you.
Yes.
And I think you were making reference to Diwali celebrations. What's your opinion of enlarging or engaging the community in creating really high quality firework displays for Diwali?
Through the mayor to the councillor. So for us, Diwali is a tradition that we are celebrating from so many long years. The motive behind Diwali celebration is when our Lord, they fight a demon and they came back to his home country. Everybody celebrated with the fireworks. So during that time, till today, there is a belief in the Hindu community that on the day of Diwali, we do a puja called like a worship thing at our home, right? We cook different meals, this and that. We dress up nicely in traditional ways, and there is a belief that on that particular day, the goddess Lakshmi, a goddess of money, she comes to your home and she bless your home. So Hindu community people will not be comfortable locking their home to come to the community firework festival.
And so it's better to have fireworks go off in front of your house and around your roof?
Well, for Diwali, councillor, I'm a firework vendor as well, and 70% of the sale is just the sparklers and fountains, and that does not go over 3 meters. For Canada and Victoria, surely I'll come to the city fireworks show. For Diwali, Hindu community people not gonna come to the city fireworks show.
So sparklers meet the criteria. That's a.
Yeah, sparklers, fountains, and anything works for Diwali.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, would you please call the next delegation?
Anunesh Jiri. Tom Jacobs.
Mr. Jacobs, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thanks for having us speak. I'm Tom Jacobs, president of Rocket Fireworks, and so we're one of the major retailers in Canada, and we help to develop safety practices with the ERD, and we've worked with various municipalities. A few points. I had a prepared speech, but I find that when I go to these council meetings, there are a lot of questions that come up that aren't answered. So, for example, one thing that a local retailer does, and it's further to Tom Adams' comment, is that we would recommend site-specific fireworks to our clients. So if someone comes and says, I live in a small plot of land, the retailers, the responsible retailers, and I'll have more on that after, the responsible retailers will say, well, there's a certain type of fireworks that would be suitable to use in your yard. You should use smaller, low-level items, fountains, maybe some Roman candles that shoot very docile or tame, just little stars, but you shouldn't be using, say, a large multi-shot cake. You have to use site-specific items. And so part of the expertise that we have, look, we're long-term stakeholders, and I'll have more on that later as well, but the long-term stakeholders like us, we are extremely concerned about our future, and as long-term stakeholders and larger enterprises, your views are quite conservative. You want to be careful. You want to make sure everything is safe. You want to counsel clients to have safe use and which items will be appropriate again for their site. I would say that I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but I don't think fireworks, for example, belong in convenience stores. I would say that if you're selling fireworks besides soap and shampoo, and you want to get rid of all your fireworks before when the holiday ends because you can't sell them afterward, I think for me the sale of fireworks demands a specialty retailer. And as I said, the longer term stakeholders, the ones who want to emphasize safety and have an interest in that because we want to protect our livelihoods and we want to protect the public. So that's one thing. And I was going to say, we all know it's not the good families that are causing the issues. It's not the families that are celebrating Diwali or Victoria Day or Canada Day at their home and are responsible with the fireworks. It's the nuisance users that are leading to these complaints. So I was at a city council meeting a few weeks ago that was speaking about the possible sales ban. And it was commented by a councillor, even just last week there was illegal usage in the park. Right? And so then the problem is that the fireworks in that town are only legal for sale 7 days prior to Victoria Day and 7 days prior to Canada Day and 7 days prior to New Year's. So clearly, you're not allowed to sell them. So where were the fireworks coming from? The point is that if someone wants to do something illegal with anything, you're not going to stop them. But by having long-term stakeholders who are interested in community building and safety practice and respect of their neighbors, lost the train of thought. You're not going to stop the illegal usage, but you also don't want to punish all the good families. And I'll tell you how the way you can curb the illegal usage, as I said, is putting it in the hands of longer-term stakeholders, raise the fines for illegal use, take a strong stand, have more promulgation that fireworks aren't allowed in parks, and don't tolerate that misuse. So as an example, we and a few other large retailers who control much of the sales in the region, for example, at Rocket, we don't sell Roman candles to anyone under 25 years old. And if someone comes in and just wants to buy 20 Roman candles, then we won't sell them to them because we can identify the nuisance users. So there are ways that the industry and the larger stakeholders can curb all this illegal behavior. We can also use, we partner with the CNFA to have more education at the point of sale. Again, in Toronto, people a few years ago didn't know that you couldn't use fireworks in parks. And through partnership with the city, it's become more, and stronger fines and signs in the parks, and the retailer educating at the point of sale, it's become much more apparent. So the point is, you'll never stamp out every bit of misuse in any activity, but there are ways that the industry and the association can use to educate, control, and by raising the fines and being more forceful and having more safety and education practices, the city can help. And we are very open to working with the city. So in the end, we don't want to punish the good families who want to celebrate their traditions and their religious traditions. So we want to figure out how do we curb the misuse. And there's not that much of it, but what there is, it's loud and it's bothersome. And so whether it's taking away the nuisance items from the point of sale, which we look at in each community and we try to identify which items are causing problems. So whether it's taking those away, whether it's having stronger fines, and with the work with the retailers, with the city, we do want to preserve the traditions and not punish the good people for what some of the wrongdoers.
Thank you, sir, for your information. Councillor Chisholm has something for you. Councillor Chisholm.
Thank you, Worship. Through you, I was intrigued with your comments about designation of point of sale with respect to fireworks. So are you, of your opinion, the question is, would you be in agreement with having specific regulated point of sale locations for the sale of fireworks?
So are you asking if there should be sort of a select or a finite number of retail locations, you know, say one in each region or zone or area?
That have the appropriate training and understanding and working with the municipality. Would you be in agreement with that?
Absolutely. I think all retailers should have to undergo a certification course, not from the municipality, but in partnership with CFNA or CNFA. And I also think that even, you know, if you even consider raising the license fee, for example, if you're operating a convenience store, say, or a small business that doesn't have the stake in it to want to control the product, you can raise the license fee and it won't be worth anyone's while who's selling it on a minor basis to go into the practice. So
yeah,
keep it in the hands of people that care.
I understand. I understand that, you know, fees and so forth. I'm looking at the more the proactive approach here and saying, and you may also make the comment about maybe different packages for sale for residential versus community fireworks. Because when I read this report, maybe I'm wrong here, Your Worship, but it does, you know, we're talking about bans, but when I'm reading this report, there's still a permit process to have community fireworks. So I'm a little bit confused in where we're going with this. You know, because the discussions we're having, it seems to be we're doing a total ban. I think what we're trying to do is have some control over what is happening with fireworks. And just my comment, and that's why I was interested in your comments about designations and different packages for selling. And you know, that to me is a control device for the community. You know, I guess where I'm coming from, I'm going to jump in right now. My issue is that when we're listening to the delegations and so forth, I can appreciate, but it seems that we're talking about underground and getting out of hand and so forth. Well, we've had a lot of situations in Oakville where we say, no, it's not good for the town of Oakville. And you know, I could name probably 5 or 6 things that's happened through the municipality in the last 4 or 5 years that we've regulated or not banned, but I'll give you one: marijuana. We don't have any marijuana stores in Oakville, and everybody says, you know, oh, it's got to go underground, it's going to be terrible for Oakville. Well, I haven't seen anything of that happen in that respect, but we're talking about fireworks, and I guess the challenge I have too is in my ward is that it's encroaching on the ability of our residents to have a quiet, safe evening where we're having fireworks at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. We have them on all different times. It's not just Canada Day and Victoria Day. It's, you know, a child 18 graduating from university got a fireworks, or there's another fireworks for a birthday. So this is the challenge we're having. It's not just the point of sale, it's what's happening in our communities. And I can appreciate what Councillor O'Meara is saying. They're starting to use the fireworks as weapons, and that we need to take some responsibility and accountability, but also the business has to take accountability and responsibility for it, because it's totally lost control in our municipality. So I just leave it as that. I just wanted to get my 2 cents in on this one, because I'm really confused about banning. Are we banning, or are we looking at a more of a controlled, I guess, disbursement of fireworks for community fireworks, which I totally agree with. We could have that as long as we're controlling. And I take the heat from our fire chief that, the safety issue is paramount. So I'll just leave it as that. Thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Chisholm. Councillor Knoll.
Thank you, Worship. Thanks for your delegation. I'm just curious about your organization. So where do you sell fireworks?
So we are based out of Etobicoke, and then we've got a few permanent stores, and we operate throughout Ontario. So 25 locations.
Do you sell them in Oakville?
No, not this year and not last. We have in the past.
You have in the past. So you were very clear about your concern about them being sold in places like convenience stores and places like that, because they're not trained and they may not necessarily understand all the rules. How do you deal with that with your staff? Because you have several locations.
Right.
How are you managing to ensure that you have policies or training or effective ways of controlling, particularly underage firework acquisition?
Right. So
They have to be coming from somewhere, right?
I can tell you, as a company, there is not one firework sold to an underager. We are as strict as the LCBO. So we say we have a 0 tolerance for that. And so we say, if someone looks under 30 years old, you ID them. If they come in to say, oh, can I buy 20 Roman candles or 50 air bombs, we will identify them as a nuisance user, right? So it's one thing to have a family kit where you have some Roman candles and it'll extend your show, and then it's another thing to come in, as you say, to someone who wants to use them as weapons. So it's easy for a company to have strict policies, and it's the larger companies, there's a lot at stake for you, so you have an interest to have a strict policy. But if you are just dabbling in the product, number one, you don't know anything. You don't know enough about it to sell it safely and to counsel others. And number two, it's not a product so you're just if you're trying to make a few extra bucks, that's not what it's for. That's not safe. This is a specialty retail product that demands strict policies and rules and a structure. So I can tell you that, it's very simple not to sell to underage.
So where do you suspect all these underage fireworks are coming from? I mean, I can attest to what Councillor O'Meara is talking about. I mean, I've personally been shot by fireworks in Bronte.
Yeah.
I have a T-shirt, literally, that demonstrates it. Where are these fireworks? How are these kids getting their hands on these fireworks?
I imagine from, as I say, smaller vendors who don't have, I'm talking very small, who don't have training, or it could be that someone, maybe they have a brother that buys it for them, right? In the same way that someone might go to tell their brother, oh, can you go to the beer store for us?
Okay, so it's basically the same as beer and cigarettes and
but
that
I
sort
mean,
of thing.
I would say there are, I don't know any retailer, there's no established retailer that will sell to underagers, and we work with them all the time. We work with the heads of, all the major retailers. It's not one would dare think to sell to an underage person.
In the 25, you said you have 25 locations? Yeah. Are they at 25 different municipalities?
Yeah.
In those 25 municipalities, have you identified a model that works really well, in your opinion? One that Oakville should look at for how to go forward with some form of regulation?
There have, and Aleem can tell you that even in municipalities as far as Edmonton, Alberta, which I think was having a real problem, and they were struggling with the bylaw. And in partnership with the CNFA, they were able to have there's a retail training program that they set up, and it's not at the expense of the city, but you have to undergo a certification. There's, as I say, also the license fees were raised somewhat, so you can't make the entryway to selling fireworks open to anyone. As if you're going to have a license fee of $100, then someone is going to pick it up on that holiday to, just like people sell flags on the corner, right, when it's football season. Right. So you have to make the barrier to entry for the vendor more stringent through either paperwork, business licenses, articles of incorporation, but it is, as I say, a specialty product which demands specialty handling and specialty knowledge. And the harder the barriers to entry, the more specialty you're going to have, the more stake you're going to have. As I say, we wouldn't dream of selling to an underage. No company worth its salt would do that. It's the same as saying if you were licensed to sell liquor by the province of Ontario and would you sell it to an 18-year-old, no one would jeopardize their business like that.
Great. Thank you for your delegation. Appreciate the information.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're not done. Councillor McNeice is next.
Thank you, through your worship. So these smaller scale retailers and corner stores you sort of mentioned, so they must be purchasing through a wholesaler?
Yes.
So
Yeah.
would that be a licensed establishment?
The wholesaler?
Yeah.
The wholesaler would be a licensed establishment.
So they're not doing their due diligence to make sure that, their vendor that's sort of representing them.
I think that they would try to do their due diligence, but to be honest, I think that the barrier to entry, the barrier to entry should lie with the cities. And I think, as I say, that to me, I would say the first thing is raise the licensing fees.
And is each firework, is it sort of traceable with like a serial number or anything? So you can sort of figure out where they're coming from or where they're going to? Or
Unfortunately, not each
not yet?
specific one. So
No.
you can definitely identify what brand it would be, unless someone completely defaced it. It's not easy. You can identify what brand, but you can't identify down to the individual piece.
Okay. Thank you for that information.
Thank you for your marathon tonight.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Mr. Clerk, the next delegation, please.
Uma Maheswa Bodakayala.
Is that online?
In person.
All right, let's call again.
Arvind Chowdhury.
Welcome, sir. Council looks forward to your information.
Dear Mr. Mayor, respected councillors, city staff, and all the attendees who are in this room and virtually. It's a very valid, the cause that we are addressing here. And certainly, I'm standing here and saying that please do not ban this thing. And next slide, please. I'm going to talk about Diwali festival specifically. And Diwali is like sacred celebration and reflecting the rich cultural event thing. It is the festival of lights and fireworks. And since our childhood, and not my childhood, not my parents, it's like since our Hinduism going on. It's a celebration which has tied up not with the Hindu, but also Jainism, Sikhism, all these folks, right? Celebration starts with the fireworks. Talk about the Canada Day. Who is not going to use that one? So Diwali festival is one of them. Lunar Happy New Year, that's another one you are looking for. How many community that we are going to, disappoint with the ban? That's why I'm standing here to say that, no, we should not be banning. Next slide, please. It is going to bring the cultural discrimination against Hindu and South Asian traditions as well. Banning their use sends a message that our traditions are not welcome to this city. Blanket bans ignores this and effectively silence our way of celebrating. If I say our way, it's all the people in the Oakville and entire community. Banning the sale and use of fireworks, penalizing entire communities for the action of few reckless users. This is collective punishment just because of the few reckless users. Next slide, please. Huge negative impact on local business and economic equity as well. Many South Asians and immigrant-run small businesses rely on seasonal fireworks sales, and these bans would devastate their livelihoods though. The ban gives black market sellers, that has been already raised by previous many delegates. Locally, Diwali fireworks sales represents a multi-million-dollar seasonal market. Banning this will push business to neighboring cities or illegal channels, as our previous delegates has mentioned. Next slide, please. Why the ban would not work, by the way. Police and bylaws staff cannot patrol every backyard or street. I cannot imagine a policy that banned Christmas tree and told everyone to come to a community festival to light a Christmas tree, though. A ban will simply drive sales and use underground, making fireworks more dangerous, not less, because they would not be stored, sold, or used safely. And education, regulation, and designated use policies are more effective than ban, like what's done for alcohol, tobacco, or cannabis. You can name various things. Next slide, please. Here we're also talking about policing versus social approach, though. Policing is traditionally rooted in enforcing laws, maintaining order, and responding to crime. It is reactive by design, responding to incidents after they occur. It's not stopping that incident, though. Social work, on the other hand, is proactive. Its purpose is to support individuals and communities by addressing the underlying causes of distress. Social work is about prevention. Policing is about reaction. Let's be preventive rather than reactive. Next slide, please. Outcome and goals. The goal of policing is compliance and law enforcement. Success is measured by arrests, convictions, or reductions in reported crime, though. The goal of social work, at the other hand, stability, empowerment, and improved quality of life. Success is measured by wellness, stability, and positive life changes. Social workers work with people to solve the problem. Police works on people to control the problem, not to minimize or not to avoid completely. Next slide, please. What should we do instead, though? When the only tool you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. That's very nicely said by someone else, and that's what we're bringing the bylaws here. Both policing and social work play a role in community safety, but they come from fundamentally different paradigms. Increasingly, communities are calling for investment in care, not control, a shift from punitive to preventive, from enforcement to empowerment, work with cultural communities to create safe, designated times and educated use of fireworks during Diwali and Lunar New Year fireworks celebration. Not only that, it's the celebration, it's the festival. Emotions are running very high. People are in happy mood. They're ready to give, they're ready to care, they're ready to share. Why should we not partner with those communities and those families? Ask them that, can you not donate something towards food bank, towards various charitable organizations? And I think people will be happily taking care of those things. We can ask that, why don't you donate towards the various cause taking care of the seniors or the pets and whatnot? That's what I'm here standing and I'm asking, that we should be working with communities and parents rather than bringing the bylaws. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Councillor Hazlet-Thiel has a question for you.
Thank you very much for your delegation. It was raised earlier in another delegation that individuals would not want to go to a community Diwali fireworks celebration. Is that your view, or would you be supportive of a local community-based Diwali event? I really value your perspective.
Through you, Mr. Chair. Definitely, it's a great question. It's not my view. It's the traditions, it's the culture, it's the rituals during the festival on the Diwali. Goddess Lakshmi, she's the one who is invited to your home. You do not want to close, you do not want to lock your door. If you want to watch, you can see that particular night. The Hindu folks, they do not even switch off their lights in the temple because that's what they're considering, that Goddess Lakshmi is coming back to home. So locking your door, not going to work, nobody will be showing up. It's exactly, that's why I brought, you cannot have that some people will be coming to the city hall or some designated area to lighten up the Christmas tree, and they're not going to have Christmas tree at home. It's not going to work. It's just the rituals, it's not that the views of people what they want.
So I found it really informative when you said that it's not entertainment earlier in your delegation, and thank you for sharing some thoughtfulness about why it's important and how it is done is equally important. So I appreciate your delegation.
Thank you, Councillor Adams.
Thank you. I'm equally thankful for your thoughts on this. If there were, so I've been to Diwali events, dinner events, and that kind of thing. If there were Diwali events that included things like a fireworks display, would it reduce the desire for some community members to have larger fireworks displays in their own home area, as opposed to using, so previously it was discussed, using sparklers or other smaller type things that would provide the same kind of tradition or family-oriented kind of thing. Do you think that would help or not?
Through you, Mr. Chair, I think that's a great suggestion, right? But thing is, as I said, it's the rituals. People will do that fireworks on the Diwali day, right? What you're talking about, the Diwali event, it's the event, it's not the Diwali day rituals, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the gap comes, right? I think the best part would be that we can partner with those communities, partner with those parents. As business owners are ready to, spend their time and money and effort, let's educate them that, hey, sparklers are pretty good, fountains are pretty good. Avoid using big, those kind of fireworks. I think those kind of education can be provided, but people will use the fireworks on the Diwali day at their home.
Yeah, and I think the same thing has happened with Christmas trees over the years. People used to put candles in their Christmas trees, and we don't do that anymore. And so there's other ways of celebrating the tradition and the culture without continuing on exactly the way it was done in the past. So, okay, thank you very much. I appreciate your thoughts.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Clerk, the next delegation.
AJ Rana.
Mr. Rana, welcome. Council looks forward to your information.
Well, thank you so much, Honorable Mayor, respected councillors, and my dear friends. Thank you for the opportunity. My name is AJ Rana, and I'm a resident of town of Oakville from last 15 years. I live and work in Oakville. And I would like to speak against the motion of blanket ban on the fireworks. Well, at the stage I'm coming to speak, most of the points has already been covered by the good speakers before me. So the good news is my presentation would be the shortest one. I wouldn't like to repeat too much. However, I would like to bring to the attention some points which has not been addressed so far. So the basic stuff is that Oakville has population of around 250,000 people. And we see the report which has been come up with the agenda, and I got a chance to very briefly go through it and saw the sample size was just over 2,000 people, and 4 residents shows up in person during that study, and 400 people speaks on phone, and online was 1832. So less than 1% of people really shared their opinion on this blanket ban, which tells me that great job was not done in engaging the communities which will be mostly affected by this ban. And I would like to I would like to mention specifically the Hindus and Sikh communities, for which the Diwali festival is very, very important. It's very close to their heart. They've been celebrating from over the centuries, from generations to generations. Now, Hindus and Sikhs, they represent about 7% of the Oakville population, which is about just over 17,000. And you guys have done a great job over the years for the residents of the Oakville. And next year we will see the municipal elections. And when you'll be going back to the residents after passing this bylaw, 2 things will happen. These 2 ethnic communities of Hindus and Sikhs will ask you, why were you not sensitive to my religious beliefs? Number 2, obviously we have seen the case study from Brampton and other municipalities that the bans do not work. It will be very hard to enforce this ban in reality. And obviously people will ask that there's a ban in place, how come the town is not able to enforce it? So these things will not look good and will overshadow the great work you have been doing over the years. I would also like to bring to the attention the religious significance for Hindus and Sikhs, for Diwali specifically. The religious significance is that igniting the night with lights and sounds is not mere entertainment, but a form of devotion. The integral part of the rituals and religious practice, which is done with family, typically 3 generations, we call it puja or the prayer. Stopping this is akin to taking Christmas tree out of the Christmas or celebrating Thanksgiving without turkey. Practicing Hindus don't leave home on Diwali day. They never lock doors, as mentioned by my friends, because a belief is that the goddess of wealth, Lakshmi, visits us on that day, and hence the doors must be open to welcome her. Symbol of lights over darkness. The bursting of firecrackers and sparklers visually represents the triumph of light over darkness in Hindu theology. Each spark is a prayer and thanksgiving for the blessings of freedom and goodness. Expression of faith. Participating in fireworks is a way for Canadian Hindus to connect with centuries-old religious customs. It is spiritually meaningful as lighting candles in other faiths, a joyous exertion of divine blessings that is central to Diwali observance. The cultural and social significance of Diwali fireworks. Diwali fireworks night is often a multi-generational affair. This ritual connects children to their roots in a joyful way, strengthening the family ties. It unites the community. Fireworks celebrations spill out into driveways where neighbors gather to watch. These moments foster social cohesion. People of all backgrounds share sweets, exchange happy Diwali greetings, and enjoy the display together, building mutual respect and friendship in our multicultural community. Cultural pride. Publicly celebrating Diwali with fireworks sends a positive message that town of Oakville honors its diversity. It allows Hindu Canadians to feel seen and valued, and it invites others to learn about and partake in our traditions, enriching the cultural tapestry of the town. The constitutional and legal rights. Celebrating Diwali is an expression of faith protected by our Canadian Charter, Section 2A. Prohibiting religious festive practices infringes upon this constitutional right. Fireworks displays are a form of cultural expression, as Section 2B. They allow the Hindus and Sikhs community to visually and audibly express joy and religious devotion. Banning a specific cultural celebration would contradict Canada's commitment to diversity and inclusion. There's economic impact, which my friends have already covered, so I would like to skip this. How can we help? Well, solution lies in consulting and engaging more community leaders, more organizations, and educating them about the existing bylaws, and also educating them the safety. We can have more barriers to that which crackers or which fireworks to be used for residential, and if it's of a high intensity in terms of risk factor or sounds, then obviously those kinds can be prohibited or limited. Well, I will conclude, and I will be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much. You have a question from Councillor Duddick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate the additional information you tried to provide to us in regards to your religious beliefs and the celebratory aspect that you use. I'm not familiar with my turkey or my Christmas tree causing noise or undue angst to anybody because it's within my home. Okay, so I kind of don't understand the parallel you tried to use for something like that. The other thing, I think you did yourself a bit of a disservice, and I'm speaking solely on behalf of myself. I take considerable offense that you imply that anybody on our council would make a decision based on an upcoming election versus what's in the best interest of the community as a whole, I think you did yourself a considerable disservice by raising it the way you did. Thank you.
Councillor, Mr. Rana, thank you very much for coming and for sharing your thoughts.
Thank you.
Mr. Clerk, is that the end of the delegations?
I'll just double check. We don't have them online, but I'll double check. Paresh Soni and Snehal Katane. That's everybody, Mayor.
Okay, I'm going to confine this topic to table. And Councillor Chisholm, I'm going to recognize you.
Thank you, Your Worship. The presentations, good information and so forth, but I guess what I want to have some clarity, maybe from staff, reading the report, we're talking about a ban, but in the report, it still says in one of the point forms that community organizations can go in for a permit to have fireworks. So I just want to have clarity. Is this a total ban, or there's still that ability to have fireworks designed through a permitting process for community neighborhood organizations?
Councillor Chisholm, I think you have it right. And Selena will now confirm whether you and I are right.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Mayor, Councillor Chisholm does have it correct. So it would be, rather than an all-out ban, there still would be sparklers permitted, and there could be community event permits that would be granted.
Okay, thank you for that. That clears it up. So we're not absolute black and white on this one, and I can appreciate the challenges. And I guess I may comment too, Selena, while you're there, the pressures we put on our MES all the time for all different kinds of issues and challenges within the town. You probably could use another 25 or 30 bylaw enforcement officers. It's something extremely difficult to enforce, especially when you have, I guess, what I call groups out there. They're not abiding to it, and they're shooting them off at 1 o'clock in the morning and disturbing the neighborhood and so forth. It's also the concern I have. The point of sale is one, absolutely, but also propensity of fireworks going off. Can you clarify for me and for council and for the public what we, in our bylaw, what we regulate to have our regulate the fireworks? It's just for July 1st and Victoria Day. Is that the two that is within our bylaw?
Thank you. And through your worship, right now we do regulate fireworks and permit them on a number of occasions. Canada Day, Victoria Day, a number of other, any really religious or cultural holiday are all entitled to have fireworks if it's applicable to the celebration of that holiday.
So just for clarity, under the Constitution, as it was kind of expressed by one of the residents, so within the Constitution, we are obliged to accommodate those type of events based on a fireworks display. Is that correct?
Sorry, thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, under the Constitution, everybody, of course, has the right to celebrate their religion, and they have freedom of speech. However, there's limitations on all of those, and certainly if we want to get to that in depth, I could look to Mr. Carr as far as a legal opinion. But I would say there is permitted to be regulation of any of those. And fireworks we've regulated for years and years and years. And one of the things we've done as part of this report is really look at the safety and why we would subject any of the use of fireworks to these regulations. And that was really the focus of this report and the research that was done to make sure that when we're looking at this, and as everybody here knows, that all the residents of Oakville, they mean well, they want to celebrate their holidays and have a good time. But unfortunately, the majority, and as we look at the report, the majority of properties just don't allow them to do that safely. The distances just can't be met. And that was really the point of our review, that as much as we would encourage people to celebrate, we want that to be done safely. You can look at municipalities like Richmond Hill that recently had a fire as a result of fireworks. We can even look within our own municipality for damages done within the parks, and that was noted in our report with believe, if I remember right, it was about $40,000 in the last 2 years. So there is certainly impact from fireworks, and that was one of the things that we're looking at. And we want to make sure that everyone is supported, but we want to do that in the safest possible way.
Yeah, thank you, Selena, for that. And the statement or question on moving forward on this one is looking at, you know, we're using the word fireworks. They're explosives, okay? And it's under the Explosive Act. So these are dangerous, where I think the comparison of, and Councillor Duddick's right about having your turkey or any comparison with fireworks, they're a totally different thing. And I totally agree with what has happened. Propensity of fireworks is happening more and more in our community, based on our immigration that's come into the municipality. And I understand Diwali and that, and having that, and other religions having their fireworks. But it gets to a point is where do we draw the line, or where is the, I guess, the balance with respect to what we can absorb in communities or not impacting the residents of the community. I think that's where we're at now. We've gone over that line, and the points are well taken about. And I'm a firm believer in the control aspect, because what's happened in Bronte with Sean and Jonathan and the issues there, it's very scary. And so as a council, we take the responsibility and accountability for the safety of our residents. So we really need to zero in on this. And I'm going to support your report, Selena, based on the information provided. But again, it's clarity. I think some tweaking could be done. I think it's fluid. I think there will be, as you move forward on this, there could be some tweaking in the report. But as it stands, I'm in support of your report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Chisholm. Councillor Adams.
Thanks very much. I just want to clarify a question about the 151 properties that were deemed to be large enough to host spectacles, fireworks spectacles. Did they include public parks, or is that just truly private properties?
Through you, Your Worship, they are just residential properties that were reviewed.
So individual, privately owned residential properties. Okay, thank you. One of the things that's been raised tonight, and I think it's a live issue, is the issue of there are a number of small community neighborhood residential groups that currently use our public parks to display neighborhood organized things. Has there been any review of those parks as to whether they meet the criteria that was applied to the residential properties? Like if we were using the same geographic size requirements, would the park that was, for example, discussed this evening, would that be large enough?
Mr. Mayor, I'll just ask Craig Williams to come and respond to that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So that study was done with a very low-level Roman candle. So we looked at broadly across a number of different retailers. Those Roman candles average between 50 and 20 meters high generally, which is why we kind of averaged it at 17.5. But normally people are not buying Roman candles. They're boring and they don't look very good. They're looking for something a little more impressive. And some of these devices they can purchase are 35, 45 meters in height. So looking at that device, that would be 45 meters up. They'd need 90 meters away from the firing point before their audience could be sitting. But remember, that's just a radius. So that means they also have to be 90 meters the other way because we don't know where this thing's going to go. So now we're talking 180 meters or 300, 400 feet of a radius with no trees, no overhead wires. So there is a potential in some of our larger parks. We spoke with the director of parks today about this, that there is some parks that would be able to accommodate something like that. But we would have to do a review, obviously, to make sure there's no outbuildings in there and any other targets that are identified by the Explosives Act that we would have to be concerned about in a fallout situation.
So theoretically, there could be on large soccer fields or that kind of thing, there could be space where you could use. I was looking at the Kaboom site, and they've got 40-meter height things that I think they're called mortars that might be the largest thing they've got.
So through you, Mr. Mayor, in my report, I indicated a 35-meter high device. If it was put at midfield of a football field, your audience wouldn't be safe if they were standing at the end of the end zones. If they had to be in the end zone, they wouldn't be safe still. So
I
that's
see.
for 35 meters.
Okay. Thank you very much for helping to clarify that. At the moment, when we have resident groups doing this, are staff aware of the resident groups that are doing it, and we just never get to them, or what happens?
Through your worship, if they had received a parks permit, then park staff would be aware. To my knowledge, municipal enforcement has not been made aware of any of these events.
I'm not aware of park staff ever having issued such a permit. Could staff tell me whether we've ever issued a permit to do that?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, not specifically for fireworks, not to our knowledge. We would have to do some research on that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the answer is no, we've never done it, and people have just carried on for a long time doing it. Okay, thank you very much. For council's consideration, I have circulated or had circulated a version of the staff motion or the staff recommendation with two changes. One is, thanks very much if I borrow that. One is to delay the implementation to July 2nd, and that's to recognize that we're like a week away from Canada Day 2025, and I suspect that there's already a bunch of fireworks that are in the system already and about to be used, and it would be perhaps unfair to make the change so quickly without the time for complete communication and education. And then the second is to consider working with community organizations to provide outlets for the use of fireworks, and that part is the part that reads that staff work with community partner organizations to provide an option for the celebration of community events such as Diwali and Lunar New Year with display fireworks where a parks permit and fireworks permit are required. And so that's meant to be all-encompassing to include these other smaller neighborhood groups that we were aware of that are out there that like to gather with their local community and try to have a celebration. So I'll leave that there for now, and I know there are other comments and questions. So,
Councillor Nanda.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Burton. I really do appreciate all the discussion. I do appreciate the information that was given. I would, however, like to introduce a motion for referral back to staff. I do feel that based on the conversations that we've had, that there is still a lot more work that needs to be done. And we do appreciate that, that it might not be the most effective way to find a balanced solution, and that there are concerns about noise and particular safety and environmental impact. But based on what everyone has said, fireworks does hold a deep cultural and traditional significance for many in our community. And whether it's Canada Day or Diwali, Lunar New Year, or even sometimes New Year's Eve and celebrations, fireworks bring people together. They create moments of shared joy and reflect the rich cultural diversity that defines our town. And based on concerns about misuse, we understand that those are real, but we must also recognize that bans in other municipalities have often failed to achieve their goals as well. And so there are many cities with fireworks that have been prohibited, but there's still illegal use that's going on, and it can even be more dangerous at times. And so without the ability to provide effective enforcement, bans risk becoming symbolic rather than practical and pushing celebrations underground, as we heard, rather than making them safer. So I do urge my council colleagues to support this referral back to staff to look at a balanced approach, to look at maybe stricter regulations, clearer guidelines on how we can get this done. Public education, I really do believe that we need to do more in educating our community and coming together, whether it's culturally or otherwise, to show that we can do this together as a community. And we did hear today, which not everyone understood sometimes the cultural reasons why fireworks are being done the way they are being done. And I think we need to take that back to get a more clear understanding on and respecting cultural traditions. So I'm hoping that we can work together to find a solution. And our motion for referral back to staff is that staff be directed to conduct a comprehensive review of the outcomes and effectiveness of firework regulations in other municipalities, including Mississauga, Brampton, London, and even outside of Ontario. We know that there's different regulations throughout the country, so that's something that I feel maybe we could look at as well. And also that staff consider options for enhanced education, regulation, enforcement, and community consultation as an alternative to a full ban, and that staff engage a diverse range of stakeholder groups, including cultural associations, community organizations, public safety representatives, retailers, and residents in further consultation to inform future policy development, and that staff report back to council with findings and updated recommendations. And I really hope that my council colleagues can support this referral. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor, for your motion to refer, which takes precedence over the main, and assuming that there is a second, is there a seconder? There's a seconder, Councillor Shia. So the rules are that debate is restricted to referral, not to the main motion. And is there discussion of the referral? All right, then I'll count the hands as I see them on the screen. That's helpful at this point. I'll start with Councillor Knoll.
Mayor Burton, record a vote.
Councillor Elgar, thank you. We're not voting, Councillor. We're debating.
Thank you, Worship. I'm going to obviously have to pivot. I had some questions, but I'm going to stick to the rules and obviously talk about the referral motion. But I actually have a friendly amendment request to the mover and seconder, and I'm wondering if they would consider the addition of a clause that states the staff review options for creating additional guidelines or regulations to reinforce minimum age requirements for purchase. And I submit that from my experience, from the experience in Bronte, and as well as a number of the complaints that I field as a councillor in my ward, a lot of the issues come from underage use in parks and in ravines and in Bronte. And I think that one of the more important things we need to achieve is how do we find a way to keep these fireworks out of the hands of kids. I want to basically agree with the two of our delegates today that talked about the inappropriateness of some people selling these fireworks, because some of those very establishments that are selling fireworks in our community are in fact also being regularly cited for the sale of vape products and cigarettes and other things to minors. So that's the rationale for my friendly amendment. I'm wondering if my colleagues would accept that as a friendly gesture.
Congratulations, Councillor. They said yes.
Thank you. So with that, I will just say right now, because questions are probably inappropriate that I was going to ask at this point, I'll just say I'll be supporting the referral motion, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor. When all other discussion of the referral has finished, I too have a request for a friendly amendment to the referral. Councillor Duddick.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through you, I will not be supporting the referral. Many years ago, myself, and I believe it was Councillor DeMoff at the time, introduced an education plus a restriction of 3 days before and 3 days after the discharge, or pardon me, the celebration of fireworks. It still hasn't worked. We're still having problems. I think it's one of those situations where what I applaud Councillor Adams for introducing what he did, and I can fully support that. in that we will capture through that process exactly what Councillor Nanda and Councillor Shi, I believe, are trying to get towards, and that is they can still have celebrations, they can still have their cultural events. It just is not on individual properties. I continue to have, and I'm sure Councillor Chisholm can echo that, the amount of people who call us to tell us that they have had fireworks going off at 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. And I'm talking not children, not young adults, we're talking families. One in particular I know is across the street from me, where they're setting it off at all times, whether it's Johnny got baseball or whatever. So, I mean, there has to come a time where we have to be safe. I do think it's unfortunate that before we jump to this referral, we have the fire chief joining us online. He's not had an opportunity to comment, even though we have his comments in writing. Having heard the debate or the discussions this evening, it would have been beneficial to hear from him as well. So I will not be supporting the motion. I would be supporting what Councillor Adams has proposed.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Shia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I support this motion, I'm a second. So I have a question for our enforcement director. So do you think if you have our town have enough resources to enforce if we ban this fireworks? Like Councilor Dadak said, someone existing, this is some example, they filed early morning, 1 o'clock. Do we have ability to enforce for that recently? No, for this now?
Thank you for that question. Through you, Mr. Mayor. We could always ask for more resources to do enforcement. I think it's sort of never ending. But what I will say is with the report and the request, I think what we have is adequate in order to make a difference. And I think this is one of those bylaws where it's really the education that needs to be paramount. I think for a very long time, we've been sending mixed messages that fireworks are permitted and that they can happen. But the problem is we've been telling people the wrong thing. We've been telling them that they can have fireworks and that it can be done safely. But the way that fireworks have evolved over the last even 10 to 15 years, they're significantly larger than they used to be. And the risk is significantly higher. So I think we really need to change our messaging, provide that public education. We can enhance our enforcement after the education program and campaign is complete, where we're really sort of enhancing that. And in the bylaw, we really did try to make sure that we can hold people accountable. And one part of that is we said if the property owner is there and the fireworks are happening on their land, they are accountable. So if we see it, we don't need to know who did it on the property. We just need to know who owns the property, because at the end of the day, they will be held accountable. So that really will help provide enforcement clarity and enable us to provide more consistent enforcement in a more effective way.
Thank you for your answer. So I totally agree. So for the education, this is really crucial and important. So we have several good example, like Michael do the delegation first. So they got a group up a neighborhood. They do every year. They in very safe and responsible way. I believe Michael is just on delegate today, but I believe there's many groups in our community. They celebrate whatever the Diwali and Chinese New Year.
Councillor,
so they
Councillor, debate on a referral motion is only to the advisability of the referral. And you're now debating the merits of the main motion. So you should speak in support of referral, but the rest of it is premature.
Okay, yes, I totally support the referral for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor O'Meara.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know in the referral it says, I apologize, I just switched pages. It says that staff consider options for enhanced enforcement. So as long as the referral, I would like to see an enforcement plan come with this. I support the referral. I would like to see an enforcement plan. We already know what day and what time 800 kids show up and we still can't do anything about it. So I don't see how we're going to be able to enforce anything here. So I'm in support of the referral to get more of a plan on how we deal with this, because the last thing we need to do is now have to defend ourselves why our staff can't do anything about something that we already knew they weren't going to be able to do anything about. So I'll support the referral for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Adams.
Thanks very much. So I'm going to try and speak to the referral issue, and if I digress a little into the discussion of the main motion, I apologize, but it's very difficult to separate the two. This is an issue that's been going on for a long time, and it's one that deals with public safety, and it deals one with that causes harm to the general community for the benefit of a smaller group, I'll say. It creates the environmental tolls that are included within our report. And it's one that, and because it's one that we've been dealing with for so long unsuccessfully, I think it's time that we move forward with it. We do have some insight from other locations already in our report, and so they ask for more study on top of the study we've already got. It feels like just kicking the can. In the examples that we have, yes, there are still complaints, but there are fewer. And so I appreciate that.
Councillor, you're wandering to main motion now.
I apologize, but it has to do with whether we should delay. And that's what the referral is asking us to do. And so I don't support the referral because it is a delay in getting some action that many people have asked us to take. We have in our package a long list of emails that came in today, mostly from people asking us to take the action that staff are recommending. So I don't support the referral.
Thank you very much. Councillor Longo.
Thank you, Your Worship. I want to thank the delegates for coming out and kind of further educating me on this, but I actually support Councillor Nanda's referral, and the rationale is related to, we're trying to balance the holding bad actors to account. We're trying to look out for public safety. We're also trying to determine whether or not this is even enforceable. So balance that with religious and community celebrations, the willingness of retailers who've come here, and the CNFA to say we'll help in the education, ethical sale, et cetera. My thought is if we refer this back, we can kind of further consult and come back with something that would be public safety and factoring everything in. So that's my perspective on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hazlet-Deal.
Thank you, through you, Mayor Burton. I'm going to support the referral. I feel that while for some of the longer term counselors, I understand the frustration. I also believe that we have to get a little bit out of the box on how we approach this. While it didn't come through clearly in all the delegations, there are some options to explore around, packages that recognize Diwali fireworks in a much smaller, more contained way. Things that I would just ask that be explored as part of this refer back. I concur with Councillor Ramirez's comment that we have to understand enforcement better. I know that he and Councillor, his council colleague, live and breathe the little rascals, I'll call them, that just can't seem to conform to the rules. I don't believe what's written is going to change that. And so I'd like to understand what could be changed and what steps the police would take to assist as part of this. So I think there's enough there to refer it back, and to also give due respect to some of the things we've heard tonight. I do think we should, however, put a time limit so that my friendly amendment, if the councillors would agree that it must return by September of 2020, so that 2025, or a time that you would feel comfortable with, but we can't allow this to drag too much further into the end of 2025.
Thank you, Councillor. I'll just point out that staff need the time to do the proper job that we expect of them. And I'm confident that they'll work in a diligent way, but setting a false deadline is not going to help us here. I would urge you to stick with the rest of what you said. But it's up to the mover and seconder. Do you want to specify a return? They don't. Councillor Elgar, and then Councillor Grant.
Thank you. Through Mayor Burton, our report, page 76 of 157 pages, states the fire chief expressed significant concerns regarding the continued sale and discharge of consumer fireworks. Goes on to say there's very few places where we can have a significant, the proper distance based on the guidelines by the Natural Resources Canada.
Councillor, you're debating. You're debating.
I'm not debating. I am just saying, no, it's not a debate. It's just a fact that I will not support the referral, unfortunately, but I will support Councillor Adams' motion.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate you sticking to the rule. Councillor Grant.
I'd like to thank the people who came out today to speak. It really did have an effect on my opinion, and I'll be supporting the referral. There's some deep cultural, religious aspects to this that I think we need to understand and respect. As much as we need to control the sale and use of fireworks, I think we need to get a better handle on how to toe the line properly between being responsible but also being accepting of people who choose to use them in their celebrations. Thank you.
Councillor, thank you. Councillor McNeese.
Thank you. Through your worship, I'd just like to offer another friendly amendment just to dig a little deeper in the fire chief's comments. So if we could get more information on fire concern as well as injuries and property damage. I mean, the councillors that have been down seeing these youth, I mean, we see it right in front of us. I don't know if it's all reported, but you know, we see that happening and it's a grave concern. If that's acceptable, then I'm happy to lend my support to this referral. Thank you.
They've agreed. Hopefully it's my turn. I would like to be sure that the returned report identifies a way for the individual celebration of Diwali at the residents' homes, as was clearly expressed to us as a part of the religion. I'd like to make sure that that we create a path for that. Well, is that your intention in this? All right. And the other thing is, I want to emphasize that we need a practical enforcement plan that, I mean, we can ban all the things in the world, but if we don't have an enforcement plan, we're only pretending. And I don't think the public respects us when we only pretend to ban things. So if those are included, then I too will support the referral. Councillor Elgar has asked for a recorded vote. Mr. Clerk, would you please conduct the recorded vote?
Mayor Burton.
Yes.
Councillor O'Meara.
Yes.
Councillor McNeese.
Yes.
Councillor Duddick.
No.
Councillor Chisholm.
No.
Councillor Haslett-Thiel.
Yes.
Councillor Giddings.
Yes.
Councillor Elgar. Councillor Elgar. Oh,
no.
Thank you.
No.
Councillor Longo.
Yes.
Councillor Knoll.
Yes.
Councillor Grant.
Yes.
Councillor Adams.
No.
Councillor Lashina.
Yes.
Councillor Nanda.
Yes.
Councillor Shi.
No. Yes.
That carries.
The referral motion carries. Thank you, everybody. That will bring us to 11.2, the on-street parking bylaw review. There is no presentation, but staff are available for questions. This is that the maximum allowable duration for on-street parking in the town of Oakville be increased from 3 to 5 hours between the hours of 6 a.m. and 2 a.m., and that a year-round townwide prohibition on overnight on-street parking between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. be implemented to replace the current seasonal and location-based restrictions, and subject to the approval of recommendations 1 and 2, that staff be directed to prepare a bylaw to amend the traffic bylaw and present it to council for approval at a future meeting. Councillor O'Meara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I just have a question of clarification. So will residents still be able to apply for a permit if a guest is staying over for a vehicle to park on the street out front of their residences now?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that would be correct.
Okay, and it's still the same amount? I don't know, was it a handful a year or?
That is correct. It is as approved in the rates and fees bylaw. I believe it's $55 as per the 2025 rates and fees bylaw.
Sorry, $55, that's for a monthly permit?
A month, correct.
Okay, so but you can have a single night permit if you have a guest staying over, and that is, you get a number of them for free a year, is that correct?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, yes, that is correct. The courtesy permits that program will continue to remain, and that will allow for overnight parking for visitors or any special other reason you would need to park on the road, up to 15 days.
Perfect, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Duddock.
Thank you. Through you, Your Worship. I think it's quite telling that this is on the same night that the request for the report that Councillor Chisholm and I are bringing forward later in the agenda. I cannot support this. The reason being that the request for the report that we have is because we're getting increasing complaints from so many residential streets saying they are now being inundated with continuous permits of parking in front of their homes. And we're now finding that several homes cannot accommodate the additional cars, and several townhouse units cannot accommodate them. So now those people are using the permitting process to park in front of other people's homes. And the fact that we do not permit for special events, we bag things to prevent cars being in front of people's homes. I find it, you're just continuing to make the situation worse. So as I say, I cannot support the motion or the recommendations rather.
Thank you, Councillor Duddock. Councillor Haslett-Teal.
Thank you. Through you, Mayor Burton. A question to staff. So in Old Oakville, we have a lot of narrow streets. And I just, if you could just give me some clarity, are we talking about then streets like William and King and, Sumner and Palmer, all then going to 5 hours as well? Or are they considered part of the commercial district and therefore the different rules will apply? I apologize. I was a bit confused on how that would play out.
Through you, Mayor Burton. Councillor Haslett-Teal, the commercial districts, the parking will not change. The paid parking and where the 2-hour parking signs are in place, that will stay as it is. This recommendation will not impact commercial districts.
So for clarity, the commercial district includes the boarding residential streets in and around downtown Oakville. That those rules would still apply. The rules in place today on King and William, which see it in an enormous amount of on-street parking, will not move to 5 hours. It will be as it currently is today.
Through you, Mayor Burton, that's correct, Councillor. It's 2-hour parking, that will stay as it is.
Okay, thank you for that clarification.
Councillor Knoll.
Sorry, I just withdrew. I found my answer.
Oh, good. I have a question. So many years ago that I can't remember when, we had this discussion about people parking in front of your house. And my recollection was that people could park in front of my house. I was okay with that, but do I misremember this? Do we have a way to ban you from parking in front of somebody's house? Like on a neighborhood street, if my neighbor needs to park in front of my house, do I have a right to the parking in front of my house? Do I own that?
Mayor Burton, no, it's a public right-of-way, and that's a privilege. On-street parking is a privilege for any resident. Whereas also there is a bylaw, you cannot park within 1 meter of the driveway.
All right. It's gratifying to learn that my memory still works. Councillor O'Meara for...
Yeah, thank you, Your Worship. You brought something back to me, and are we going to be able to bring carve-outs in special areas? And I'm thinking about in Lakeshore Woods in the lower area where we don't have enough parking at South Shell Park. So people are going for beach days and lining the streets in front of these areas. And now we're going to allow them to park for 5 hours as opposed to 3 hours. So, I mean, in areas, and same with Councillor Dudek, you know, around Coronation Park, there are people who will go for the day and park their cars. So, and it can be like parking lots now because that's the only overflow for areas. So are we going to be able to look at ways to mitigate that so that these don't become overflow parking areas for community amenity space?
Through you, Mayor Burton, we'll take it back. Councillor O'Meara will look into it and respond back.
So taking it back doesn't help me if I've got to pass it tonight. So I guess from what's in front of me now does not allow that opportunity. Is that what I'm to understand then?
Madam CAO, and then I'll weigh in.
Through you, Mayor Burton, the bylaw tonight would apply across the town, exclusive of the commercial areas. And so if there were areas that you would identify, we haven't identified any as part of this program. I think we would suggest 2 things to you. Stand the bylaw down and not approve it, and we can have a conversation about what areas you would want to exclude. That's one approach. The other approach is approve the bylaw the way it stands tonight, and bring forward at a later date some carve-outs, as you suggest, to identify areas where there is more sensitive parking.
All right, I'll take my turn. Councillor, I was going to recommend option A. The bylaw, there's no time I know of requiring us to pass it tonight. We could refer it back for careful study of the opportunities to respect local circumstances like the one you've mentioned. And if you wanted to move referral, that would take precedence.
I would be happy to move referral, Mayor Burton.
Thank you. Councillor Chisholm, are you seconding that?
Well, I didn't get in there quick enough, Your Worship, on the main report. I'm not supporting the main report. I just want to make a point. I don't know if it was clear enough. What has happened? May I?
No.
Or I can speak to it now?
No, just referral. If referral passes, your comment may even be moot.
Well, with all due respect, Your Worship, I had my hand up before the referral came to the table, so I'll just leave it and see where it goes. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. A referral motion can be introduced at any time, and he had the floor. But he doesn't have a second. Councillor McNeice has provided that. All right. Is there discussion, or may I put the vote? Is there an objection to the referral? Madam CAO, thank you for your suggestion. It's one favor with council. Mr. Clerk, I declare the referral carried. Council, I'd like to draw your attention to 11.3, the 2026 Municipal Election Contribution Rebate Program. And the indicated motion, unless you want to continue the rebate, is to receive the information. Councillor Adams.
Thanks very much. I've got a motion that would receive the information as per the staff recommendation and then add that staff report back in Q3 2025 with a draft bylaw to authorize the payment of rebates to eligible individuals who made contributions to candidates for office on the Municipal Council for the 2026 Municipal Election Contribution Rebate Bylaw, and that the program's terms, including eligibility criteria, calculation formula, and contribution limits align with the previous rebate program. thank you to the staff for helping to draft that. So
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Dudek, thank you. Is there discussion? May I put the vote? Any objection to the motion by Councillor Adams and Councillor Dudek? Mr. Clerk, there being none, that carries. And that brings us to 12.1. You have a confidential direction provided in the legal confidential report titled Potential Acquisition of Land, dated June 10th, and I would like a mover and a seconder to approve that. Councillor Longo and Councillor Shia, thank you. Any objection? Mr. Clerk, there's no objection, and that carries. Council, at 12.2, we have a correction from Oakville Enterprises around the appointment of directors and chair. And I'm looking for, and you've read the report, I'm looking for a mover and seconder to approve. Councillor Grant and Councillor Elgar, thank you. Any objection? There being none, that carries. We have a notice of motion, establishment of a lobbyist and gift registry. I must say this is welcome. I remember in 2011 trying and failing to create one with Councillor Dudek, Councillor Elgar, Councillor Adams, and then Councillor Johnston. The next thing on our agenda, Councillor Lischina.
Thank you, Worship. I wonder if we could add to that, or is that the next time that it's coming to council?
Next time.
Thank you.
So the next thing is request for reports. And speak of the devil, we have Councillor O'Meara, am I right? The next thing is...
It was just under new business still, Your Worship.
Let me pedal back. Yes, Councillor.
Thank you. I've received a number of emails about the notice that we received on June 18th from yourself directing staff to prepare a report and draft community planning permit system bylaw for Brawny Village. That was unbeknownst to me. I did not hear from yourself or the mayor's office on that. So just to clarify with residents who had contacted me. And I still remain committed to the unanimous endorsement of this council's motion on January 30th, 2023, where we posed those types of things. I still believe that that sort of could have happened through our normal notice of motion process, and given the residents in the Ward 1 area the same deference that we gave them through the Midtown process about what a community planning permit system could bring to them, ask questions about, well, should we be looking at the Brawny MTSA? And again, not to speak about the, whether the policy prescription is the right one or not. It's just, I think we have to make sure that we bring our residents along for the journey when we go down these paths and when we have these conversations. And I'm appreciative of the fact that we will be bringing it back to council for a discussion after it has been developed and brought forward. But I just wanted to clarify that for the residents who have been emailing me with questions to that. So thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to clarify that public consultation will be part of that. And I regret that that you didn't know about it. I actually thought you might have, but I apologize that it didn't get to you. So back to 16.1. On-street parking permits. Councillor Dudek and Councillor Chisholm would like a staff report back to council with on and off-street parking options to respond to increasing pressures for municipal parking in residential neighborhoods. And having listened to the councillor earlier about this, I note that what she's particularly concerned about is, I think what it sounded like you were talking about overuse, I guess, of parking on streets. And I wonder if you want to change the words at all in your request for report to capture that.
I'm open to any amendments. I had originally brought it forth with Councillor Chisholm to staff, and staff had made the recommendation to change the wording, but as much as we need clarity, you're absolutely correct. We're concerned about not somebody having the opportunity to park in front of someone's property. That is not the issue. we're talking about the abuse of long-term parking in front of someone's home by having continuous permits, by not providing sufficient parking on their own property. That's all.
Okay, so if we put overuse of in front of the words over, if it reads that staff report back to council with on and off street parking options to respond to increasing complaints about overuse of municipal parking in residential
Thank you.
neighborhoods, does that capture what you really want?
That is perfect. Thank you, Your Worship.
All right, is Councillor Chisholm?
No, that's perfect, Your Worship. It's individual homeowners who have extra cars or extra vehicles where they have an average of 2, now they have 3 and 4, and they're using in front of their homes for, I guess, overflow parking for them. So that's really what the issue is. It's individual residents taking full advantage of our system, and it's creating problems.
Okay. Is there any objection to the request for a report? Mr. Clerk, I see no objections and the report is approved. It's time for consideration and reading of the bylaws unless anything else detains us. Councillor Shia and Councillor Lischina, thank you for the motion to move and second the consideration and reading of the bylaws. Is there an objection? There being no objection, the bylaws as listed are considered read and passed. And that ends the work of this meeting. It's been great working with you and I look forward to our next chance. Yes? Which, before I say we're done, is there something you'd like to do?
I apologize. I don't know how I missed you asking for new business, but do you mind if I take just a second for 2 pieces of new business? Sorry. 2 pieces of new business. First of all, I just wanted to say thank you to the community for their support of the Oakville Family Ribfest 2025. It was a terrific success, except for the scorching 2,000-degree heat wave on Sunday. Other than that, it was a great event. We want to say very much pass along our thanks to the Rotary Club of Oakville Trafalgar and the Oakville Lions Club for their yeoman service in delivering this event again this year. It was wonderful, and lots of money was raised for some very good purposes across the town. The second thing I'd like to do is just extend an invitation to my annual Canada Day Pancake Breakfast, 8:30 to 10:30 on July 1st. It's the way to kick off the day. Start it in Ward 5, end it in Ward 1. And we would certainly invite members of the community to come by for some free pancakes. I'm hoping that Councillor Lischina is got her mixing arm ready because she is a batter stirrer extraordinaire.
You maybe should mention the location.
2200 Sawgrass Drive, the Oak Park Neighborhood Center in North Oakville, just off of Glen Ashton. Everybody welcome, 8:30 to 10:30.
Now you might get some pancake eaters.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
The meeting now really is over. Good night, everybody.